And we're live.
All right, welcome back to World's Strongest Opinions, episode 42 with Holly McRae, pro lightweight strong woman, lightweight Arnold world champion 2022, and recently podium finisher at the U64 Pro Strongman League Women's World Championship. Welcome to the show, Holly.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So,
I was like, it's been an exciting year for you so far. Are you gearing up for OSG? Is that your next show?
Actually, I've decided that I'm going to jump in and do Static Monsters before OSG.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Just one of the qualifiers. And just to kind of see what my body is going to do and have fun.
So just a qualifier before OSG. How much time is there between? Because, I mean, that's still max effort. That's like a full max effort little show.
Yeah, it's I think it's like the second last week of October. So it still gives me, I think, like 6 or 7 weeks in between.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a Halloween type show. Or for some reason, I always associate Static Monsters with Halloween because it's October. And I think for some reason, people wear like, not costumes, but I see people doing like kind of like war paint and stuff these days. So I'm like, might be time to add some costumes into there. Make it a real fun, festive thing.
Well, I might wear a costume now because, you know, my deadlifting socks and stuff aren't enough. I'll just put on more for you.
I know. You always have the best outfits for those deadlift setups and everything.
I mean, it's an ideal time to do it. I mean, get crazy, go pull some sick numbers and have a good time.
I almost pulled 660 the last time I did it. And I usually go for the under 137 group. So I'm even more under my weight class. So I'd like to see if I could pull 700.
Hell yeah. That's on an axle too, right? Isn't that how they usually do it?
Yeah, I'm actually better on an axle than I am a regular bar.
Okay. I mean, I can see the confusion in your eyes. I'm confused too, because that's a little unusual.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite of what like the body mechanics really. I mean, that shouldn't work.
That's a good problem to have, though. I mean, especially going into Static Monsters. So that's a huge benefit to you.
I am also only 5'1", so it's like a 3-inch range of motion for me.
You just need to do like James Deffenbaugh did in, what was it, like 2019 Americas? 1920? I remember where he just pulled it over his knees. His knees were, it was an 18-inch deadlift though, but just pulled it over his knees and sat down and did like the Poundstone, the Derry Poundstone style, like just sit down and just stand up with it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I might actually have to start to learn how to do that, but I feel like that would transfer over to my regular deadlifts, and I don't want that.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's strongman. It's for cheating, so
yeah. Well,
do whatever you got to do to get the lift and the number on the board.
Exactly.
If they don't tell you can't do it in the rules, then it's fair game, right?
Right. That's what I think.
That's true. They actually didn't they. What is it? It was the Viking deadlift championship where it was going to be a 21-inch deadlift. I was like, at that point, you would just sit there you just strap in and be like, it's good lift.
It's 21-inch deadlift on a mammoth bar and wagon wheels. Just doesn't even come off the ground.
That's true. I was going to ask, does a silver dollar ever come off the ground? Like at that point, I'm like, whenever people do those ones,
I mean, if you're only, what'd you say, 5'5"? How tall are you?
5'1"?
Yeah, I'm 5'1". I'm only 61 inches.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine an 18-inch deadlift would quite come off the ground on a silver dollar for you. Yeah. You'd have to have like an extra short bar. An axle.
That's actually one lift I've never ever tried, so I have no idea.
You haven't? That's crazy.
Yeah, we'll just give you an axle.
I've never tried a silver dollar deadlift.
That's hard though. I guess if it's not around and easily accessible, several gyms I've been to, they just have them there, so it's fun to just like.
But I mean, a silver dollar deadlift is really just a fancy name for an 18-inch deadlift, right? I mean, like technically back in the day when World's Strongest Man originally introduced it, it was like a silver dollar, right? There was baskets filled with allegedly money, but It was just an 18-inch deadlift. So a lot of people will just refer to an 18-inch deadlift as a silver dollar deadlift when it's not really.
It's just a fancy name for saying we're cheating more.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's actually put silver dollars in it since.
That's true. So what's your log goal then? If you're aiming for hopefully 700 on the deadlift?
I would really like to see over 200. I hold the Canadian log record for that weight class. And I think it's like 185.
Okay.
So it'd be nice to break that 200 officially.
Yeah.
Would they technically give that to you? I mean, I don't know. There's always so many weird like rules and red tape sometimes in order to be given a record. Would they give that to you if you were in Static Monsters?
That's where I got it to begin with.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool.
Yeah, both of them is where I got it to begin with.
Yeah,
I don't know. Then you get into what size the log is and what you wear. There's so many. Right. I just stopped caring.
Yeah. Well, we were just, the show that John and I were just at, there was talk of a national record being set, but because a certain person wasn't there, they were like, well, you could do it, but it won't be recognized. And we're like, how does that work? Well, he just did it in front of a bunch of people on live stream Strongman, but we're just going to pretend like it didn't happen. I'm just saying that I think if you do it, you should be recognized for it.
Yeah, I think the rules get pretty wish-washy, and I'm sure we could all go down that rabbit hole for hours and hours.
We like to go down those rabbit holes, though. That's why it's called World's Strongest Opinions. This is what we do. We go down rabbit holes on the show.
Just stir the pot.
It's true.
We do.
One thing we do have to address is what a goofy event max leg press and max chest press are.
Oh my god!
As far as like things to talk about, I just had to get it out there. For a sport that like clowns on sumo for the range of motion, to have a max leg press as a serious event was just like, it's a bit questionable.
What is your opinion, Holly?
I don't know. I wasn't there. It looked cool. Like the way that like the implements were made, and I mean it's different.
That's true.
So like if you're going on originality and stuff, I mean it's pretty cool. I guess in the crowd, did the crowd like it? Like, when you go into a comp and they do a squat, it's just really not that fun to watch for the crowd. So something like that, I don't know. Does it kind of get the crowd in? Is that kind of what we're doing?
It's true. I could see that argument.
Was there a crowd?
Yeah, it was a decent sized crowd once the mint started going. The open man.
I actually unfortunately didn't watch the whole thing, but kind of some of the clips that I saw there wasn't a huge crowd in the background. Maybe it was just the angle.
Yeah, it was for the open people. There wasn't as many and everything. But then
for the pros, for sure.
For the pros,
sure.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
For the pros, they like really packed it in there and everything. It was definitely an interesting show to watch. And I see what you mean about the squats. What year was it? There was, I think the Arnold Classic had max squat one year, and the event took like 2 hours.
That was the year I won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very long event day for just one event. I was like,
we ended up having squats for reps, the amateurs. And it was like 60 seconds of squatting, but like it was the bounce squat. It wasn't an actual full squat or anything. So, and then the pros had the max squat, and that's where JF got hurt actually.
Yeah. That's where he, tore his quad or patella or something.
Yeah.
Which is super unfortunate because he was so strong that year.
Dude, he was just like lighting it up of just like, it was nice. He did make a guest appearance doing some grip stuff at the Shaw Classic. So that was nice to see him. The one thing that I always stuck out with me, and we didn't ask Sam when she was on the show, but I remember one year they were talking about JF and they're like, he's Canadian, so his grip's good. I was like, is that a normal stereotype that Canadians have just good grip? Like, I don't know. For some reason, there's 2 different comps I've seen where they're like, JF's Canadian. You know he's got good grip. I was like, where did that come from? You've never heard that?
I've never heard that one, actually.
I know.
It does not apply to me.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh, man. I need to work on my grip.
I mean, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a wrong stereotype. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, even Isaac Mays has got like insane grip strength. Honestly, he just posted some ridiculous farmers carry. You know, he competes in the open, I think, mostly in Canada these days. But I think most of the Canadians I've known have got incredible grip strength. I wonder why that is. Is it? I mean, he lives in Saskatchewan, so he's sort of a farm boy. So that would probably be
maybe.
I
don't know. It's a very
again. I don't know where what happened to me. This is not fair. Maybe I should talk to them, see what they're doing.
Did you grow up on a farm? That's the first question.
Well, farm-ish. I mean,
I don't know.
I grew up in a very, very small town.
There you go. I did too. My grip sucks, so
yeah,
probably not really the reasoning. But
now that I've injured my knee, I'm gonna get back into training grip because grip's just really fun. Like when you like really focus on it. For a while, I got to the point where I could I closed it once. The Captains of Crush, the 2.5. I don't know what the pounds translate into, but I was like, back then I could do double overhand to like higher than I could actually deadlift. Whereas now, once I got into strongman and started using straps for deadlifts, you just don't double overhand. I can do farmers, but for some reason, for the deadlift, having it in front of you, my grip's just not there.
Because it's a rolling bar. That's the difference.
That makes sense, actually.
I was
thinking about that.
That's why weightlifters hook grip, right? The hook grip is meant to, because the bar rolls into the thumb, pulling the thumb in and locking it in place. It's the same thing that straps do. It prevents it from rolling out because when you just have a double overhand, the bar wants to roll out and pushes out in your fingers.
Oh.
That's why it's so much harder. And this is why I've argued many times people that try to hook grip farmers are effectively just making the grip a thicker grip and weakening their ability to hold on to it because it's not a rotating bar. So what's the advantage of hook grip? There isn't any.
I always feel like my grip's better on farmers when I do thumbless.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I also have tiny hands, so like I can't hook grip because it's like, unless I was doing maybe a women's bar or a children's training bar, I could possibly successfully hook grip. But I'm like, that's a level of skill and pain tolerance that I'm just not up for. And stuff. I've like tried it like once and I was like, this isn't for me. It's not worth it.
Dude, the fact that Jamal Browner hook grips like 1,000 pounds or whatever is just stupid.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Like that's the weird thing is to think of just how much strain that is on just that one little finger.
I used to hook grip a lot, and the first time I deadlifted 700 with a hook grip was the last time I used hook grip because it was just so excruciatingly painful. Like it was fine, I could tolerate it up to 700 pounds, and then it was just like, nope, this isn't for me. My thumbs hurt for like 2 weeks. Yeah, no thanks.
Oof. And two, you see the videos of when someone's thumb tears, you're just like, deadlifts are going to be miserable for like a month, like 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, that's because I've seen some of them. It's just awful because you just lose the inside of your hand.
Yeah, but that's my point with Jamal Browner. Like deadlifting 1,000 pounds with a freaking hook grip is just like stupid pain tolerance, man.
That's true. Because he's doing the, what's it called? The World Deadlift Championships, or not the World Deadlift one. Yeah.
One in Leeds, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting to see what people pull there. Because deadlifts by far are the best movement. And that's the saddest thing.
I said next weekend. It's this, I don't know. I guess it depends on what your perspective is. It's this next coming weekend.
Yeah. I was about to say. But I realize we've been talking a lot, Holly. And I know giving you a chance and everything. I don't know if it's like, what would you like to talk about as far as like?
You can't put that on me.
I'll put that on.
He just did.
I'm
know.
like, I
dropped
don't
it.
talk. I talk to a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old all day.
Oh,
That's true.
are those your children?
Yes. So like, I don't really talk too much.
You don't. Well, that's gonna make this difficult. Well, why don't we talk about the U64? So you were in Denver in July, which is pretty awesome, and I mean that was a super stacked field.
That was.
I mean, going into that, I mean, what? Obviously, I mean, this is a little bit hindsight now, but what were your expectations and goals and whatnot? I mean, what went well? What didn't go well? What were your kind of learnings that came out of that and that you're going to take forward, especially into this big Worlds class in December?
So that I had absolutely no expectations for that show going into it other than don't kill myself.
Yeah.
I usually have really big goals for myself when I go into a show, but I have a 14-year-old child who was putting me through a whole lot of things as she's trying to find herself. So I wasn't training. I didn't train for 4 weeks leading up to the show.
Oh, wow.
My central nervous system was already shot. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating well. I was kind of giving everything I could into her. So I didn't want to go into the gym and overload myself and get hurt. So I was just kind of winging it. I had actually found out the Friday night at the rules meeting that I was training 2 of the events completely wrong.
That's never happened in Strongman before.
But the event was laid out clear. I read it wrong.
Okay.
And so I didn't know that there was 2 power stairs and 2 duck walks. And I hadn't touched anything to do the loading medley at all, not since actually the OSG beforehand. So I got 5th. Obviously, that usually would have been something that I would have liked to do better on, but considering what I was kind of going through, I was pretty happy with it. And I had a lot of fun.
That's what matters the most.
And I really needed that to kind of ignite it and to just kind of forget the rest of the world and just have fun. The stone hurt me because it got stuck to my soft belt and I couldn't get it over the bar because it kept just coming right back to me.
Yeah.
So that one kind of peeved me off a little bit. But other than that, I think the rest of the show went pretty good. It was really fast.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing about, I mean, that whole what do I want to say, legacy of that show was to move quickly, and it's such a new aspect to strongman, and I'm just like I'm a huge fan of that fast move. For the athletes, it adds another level of difficulty, of course, but it also keeps you on your toes, right? You're not cooling down in between events. You're go. You get in, you get out. It's exciting for the crowd. So I mean, PSL is doing an amazing job, I think, of maintaining that legacy and just knocking
it definitely keeps the crowd going, especially if you're watching it on a live stream. I mean, we all know what it's like to just sit there and for like 3 hours as people setting things up and
Right. Yeah.
So it's definitely nice that you don't actually have to spend all day long glued to your phone to watch the things. For an athlete such as myself, I deal with a lot of spine issues and stuff, so not being able to get treatment in between events affects me a lot.
Sure.
But that's the name of the game, and that's what I choose to put myself through. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, having spine ailments in strongman is, I mean, that certainly is not rehabilitating. Certainly adding to it much worse, right? That's that's crazy.
Yeah, I get a treatment from my osteopath, so she manipulates my bones every week.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Sounds very intense. It's like, though the one thing is about that is this picture was one of the best things that you posted after that. Just the Zercher. just the look. I was like, that's like the beauty of the Zercher right there.
But that's smart. It's super smart.
King of lifts.
So what happened actually is on the first, it was like the There were 4 that we had to load, and the third one that I was loading, my calf pulled. And I was like, oh my God, if I do this again, it's really going to hurt. And so I picked it up, and as I slammed it down, I think I like screamed the F word or something because I was thinking of my kid's face.
Yeah.
I let out all my aggression with it.
Does your
too.
kid know that that's what you think when you see your face?
Yeah. Yep, they do.
Oh, that's funny.
No, because that's the main thing. Some people are like, should that be allowed? I was like, this is the sport of the 18-inch deadlift. You should be allowed to search your power stage.
Did they say you couldn't in the meeting?
Nobody even thought of it. Peyton had gone, I think she was one of the first ones to go, and she's very, very tall compared to most of us U64 girls. And she did it. And we were all like, oh, okay then.
Yeah. That's the benefit of not going first, right?
Mm-hmm.
The benefit of reverse scoring.
I had never trained at Zerk. I'd never done that ever before. I just was like, well, something's got to work because the other one's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean that's what's cool about strongman in general is that athletes learn and adapt and overcome the challenges in a lot of different ways that, like you said, nobody really thought of before. Who thought of zerchering what is a very traditional, like basically deadlift and lever over a step. I mean, that's incredibly intelligent. I love it.
I always say expect the unexpected in strongman.
Exactly.
That's true.
As long as you don't sumo.
That's the one thing we don't allow.
You froze right as you said that, and I feel like I missed something there.
I said as long as you don't sumo.
Oh, yeah.
Expect
Sumo for me would be the same as an 18-inch. Like,
just don't sumo.
That's true. I was like, at that height, though, that makes sense because those were high power stairs, like 18 inches.
They were 18.
To put something on.
Wow.
And stuff. Because I was thinking about that when you said you only had a 3-inch clearance with an 18-inch deadlift. And it's like your hands are way out in front of you down like the deadlift position, having to like pull it all the way up past your shoulder. Like that would be an intense leverage and stuff right there.
Yeah, it was definitely a little difficult because you have to do the bottom part of the triple extend, right? Like your toes have to go all the way up, and you're like, okay, how do I use these hips while also pulling here? And it just,
it's true. Because I guess you'd kind of do it like a high pull, but it's just a very awkward one because you couldn't like get the right leverages. So I'm like, yeah. The Zercher makes 100% make sense. It was nice.
I only did it like 5 times, so I just winged it.
You did well though. I was like, for everything surrounding it, like 5th place is decent, especially too with travel. Because when did you fly down to Denver? I actually suffer from asthma bronchitis, so I was really, really afraid of what the altitude might do to me. So we actually went in on the Tuesday, I think.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Before like any of my heavy water and stuff, and then we walked around and things like that and did some stairs, and so we didn't compete until the Saturday. So I don't think it really bothered me too much in the competition. A lot of us felt pretty lightheaded with the log, and I think that was the only thing that was really pushing it.
Yeah. You all put up some insane numbers though. I was like, it was crazy to like see that, especially with the altitude of like a lot of women putting up higher numbers than we expected and everything at that, like, which is pretty impressive to think of getting in this solid like 200s for so many people and everything.
Yeah, I really wish I got that 210. I mean, looking back at the video, obviously, I think Corey's an amazing judge and I respect her 100%. And I just had that one extra second. Had I held it, I would have got it, but I wasn't sturdy enough for it.
That's good. I mean, that's a good standard, though.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And she was really clear about it the night before. She told us all what she expected. So it when you look back at the video, you're like, oh, yeah, yep, I see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you didn't think that the altitude affected you too much because I live in the Denver area. I have not lived here forever. And when I first moved here, the altitude was just awful for me in the gym. I was always lightheaded and nauseous, probably for 3 solid months, I think, before acclimated. So I couldn't
Yeah, but
actually
we all
imagine.
know that what you do in the gym is actually harder than what we do in competition.
I mean, I think everybody's that way, right?
Right? Like if there's 5 events, you're putting in, 5 minutes, if that, of work in a day.
Right. But
instead of going to the gym for 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
So I could see getting nauseous probably if you're working out that long.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's definitely a fair point. The one thing I do know is that living up here and training up here does absolutely nothing going down to sea level, because it's all right. Everything we do is very anaerobic rather than aerobic, right? So it doesn't really do any good. And I think sometimes being at sea level, it's harder because there's I'm used to a lighter air pressure up here. And then I get down to sea level and it's harder to breathe.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. I was like, I guess it makes sense to people who do elevation for extended endurance events.
That's all aerobic, right?
Yeah.
That's aerobic. That's with oxygen. Everything in strongman, I mean, you're holding your breath for almost the entirety of the event. Every rep, your breath is held, right? You're in an anaerobic state. And so being at altitude does absolutely nothing for strength athletes, in my opinion. It certainly didn't do anything for me.
That makes sense. I did, when I visited out there, I did buy a canister of oxygen just to test it out. And I couldn't tell whether or not it was effective. It felt kind of nice though, of those little cans and stuff. I was like, it's pleasant, but I don't know how effective it would be for actually training.
Yeah, I've read that the idea of oxygen post-workout is actually not very beneficial. The benefit would only be if you were breathing pure oxygen in the middle of exertion. So otherwise, I mean, you might get a placebo effect, which is pretty powerful in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's clever marketing that sells those things more than effectiveness.
Because I was wondering, I think the first year of the Shaw Classic, a bunch of people just were going through canisters.
Novikov.
Yeah,
in the middle of his dumbbell set, with grabbing a can and pumping oxygen, and then just throw it on the pad. Did a couple reps and huff some oxygen. Man, that was the first time I've ever seen anybody do that. And I mean, that's just kind of goes to show how innovative he is. Because I mean, nobody had ever done that before that I'm aware of. And he's just right back to the rules. Nobody said I couldn't do it, so I'm going to do it. Right? Just like when he first used his fingertips with the figure eights, right? Nobody said he couldn't do it until he did it. And then everybody's like, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. But he got away with it when it counted, right?
That's true. I think that's a part of it. You have to do that if you're on the lighter side of things. It's kind of like Zertring the power stairs. You have to do that innovation, which is kind of the fun part of the sport, really, is seeing that how people match larger or taller athletes and stuff, because it is it's always interesting to realize that 5'1" is not very tall at all for so many of these events and everything, loading and stuff, especially if you still have to load over a 48-inch bar or whatever. Whenever that happens, that's always an interesting thing.
I usually, my bar is normally 48 inches.
Yeah. I'm because at that point you have to have it basically on your chest to get it over and stuff. It's a substantial.
Yeah, at Clash last year they changed the loading medley because the top platform for the stone for us girls was supposed to be 61 inches.
Oh, so basically your height. You're just
and I think 10 of us girls were all within 5 foot to 5'3".
Wow.
So we're
61 inches. I mean, you could have pressed it up, I guess, shouldered it.
I ended up being able to do it in training, but I don't really particularly want to put a 150-pound stone on my face and bump it.
Right.
Especially too with glasses, and everything, that could be an issue. Especially because some people are just take your glasses off. I'm completely blind without my glasses, so at that point it would just be fumbling around, and
my depth perception is gone without my glasses, so I feel that would be bad on stones.
Oh yeah, you definitely need depth perception for that.
Yeah,
at least some perception of where things are, because that's the real bummer. It's like, for one, that's one thing I wanted to ask your opinion about it, is like head-to-head stones as an event. Is it a good event, or is it kind of like not an accurate measure of strength because of weird rest times and stuff? What do you think of the head-to-head stone
Oh,
over
like the last man standing stone that we did?
last man standing stone. Yeah.
No. I'm one of those people who I like to know the event. I want to know that there's an end time. I don't want to have to go until I'm folding in half and almost dying. Cool to watch. Props to the people who do it. I don't want it.
Yeah. I was like, it's just a weird one because it's such inconsistent rest times of Carly did it forever at your guys' show. And everything.
Well, and then so I went up against her, and then she was out. And then the two girls that came in after her couldn't load the stone, so I had all of that time to rest.
So it's nice if it favors you. If you're going
right, but then you think of Carly, she didn't have any of that.
Oh, yeah. That's what Bob at Clash on the Coast, when he did it, or this past one, just doing it over and over again and stuff. I was like, that's the crazy thing, is to see those people who can because after a while, you're once you get past double-digit reps on stones, it's I don't know how many more you want to do at that point.
Don't forget Mike Cogden the year before.
True.
I don't know who did more reps between those two, but I remember, because I was there, Mike Cogden, he's just in the middle of it. He's so bound and determined to just keep going. He's just as he loads over the 14th rep or whatever it was, right? Just stupid.
That's true. What's her name? I was surprised she didn't get hurt by the stone. The New Zealand woman. I'm blanking on her name. Meg. When she did the full triple extension and then it just folded her like an accordion.
Dude, I saw that.
I was right behind her. I had to go after her.
Watching something like that will definitely shake you up when you're thinking. You're I just want to think about the event ahead. You just I'm always surprised because those entries, people always walk away from them, and it's always at least not always, but I've seen happened in World's Strongest Man. You've seen it fold someone, then they just and it's weird when something like that won't injure someone, and then something innocuous will. And you're dropping it at the stone just on your body from the top is that's a lot.
I saw that in there was a show here in Colorado in 2012 or 13, and it's going to drive me nuts that I can't spit this guy's name out because he went pro and he competed at Worlds. But this is back when he was an amateur. He dropped it on his ankle, and he didn't. I don't know if he just didn't go to the doctor or what. He ended up having this infection, and he posted a picture once. He had this hole, a literal hole, from the bacterial infection that ate into his ankle. He's lucky he didn't have to have it amputated. It was so gross and disgusting. Stones can be dangerous, man. I mean,
yeah.
And then I was just having a conversation recently too. Sorry, get completely off topic, talking about stones and how dangerous they are. Though, even Big John Connor back in, man, I don't know when that would have been, 2010 or something like that. So John Connor was a pro too. He actually went pro at my first competition I ever competed at back in 2008. He got a staph infection doing shirtless stones in his sternum, and he almost died.
Oh,
I mean, that's inches from your heart, his heart. And people always ask me why do you wear sleeves or whatever? Why don't you go without sleeves? That's why. I learned a lesson from somebody else. I don't want a staph infection from dirty ass stones, right? They're so dangerous.
That's true. These are all.
I love stones, but
stones are fun.
They are fun, but man, they're also there's so many dangers that we're not aware of. I mean, passing out and having one fall on you. I mean, there's numerous videos. I mean, Big Z back in 2003 or 4, right? Have you ever seen that video? He's going to load that last stone and it falls, and it falls right on top of him. But Big Z's 360 pounds, and it was probably only a 200-pound stone at the time. Still.
That's true. Which actually does briefly, on a side note, who would you say is the greatest of all time if you had to pick the
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Who is the
GOAT?
GOAT?
Because a lot of people have been saying Brian Shaw recently, and we're talking that. What do you think, Big C, and everything? What would your opinion be?
Are you asking my opinion
Yes.
Yeah.
on stones?
No, who's the greatest strongman of all time?
In general, who is the
Oh.
greatest strongman of all time?
So I'm going to let you in on a tad bit of information here. I don't follow strongman very much.
Okay.
I just don't have the time.
So if we ask
I
you
do this
trivia,
sport because
you
I
would
love it, but
fail.
if you ask me like people's stats and things like that,
Okay.
I have no idea.
But you do know who Big Z is, right?
Well, yes, like I do know of people, and I do know some of the things that they do. But for you'd ask me like the all-time GOAT, I think I would have to be more well versed in it to have a proper opinion on it.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
True. I can see that. And a part
Like
of it,
I know all the big names and I follow. I mean, I really only follow the people that I've met and that I know. Because I don't know. It's not my full-time job.
It's true. I can see if you have kids, like watching.
I have 2 kids and I own a cleaning company, and so my spare time is going into the gym to do strongman because I love what it does, but I don't necessarily live it.
Yeah,
I see that.
I don't live it as much as John does either.
It's true. I do just because I have to. Like I did it. Andy was out of town last week, so she got to miss it. But on Saturday, I had 2 different screens up watching the Shaw Classic and OSG Southwest Regionals at the same time, and then like checking things on my phone to like post about it. I was like, it does feel like I'm like watching like the stock market or something. I'm just like, but it's the nice thing about those PSL shows is they're short, because it's crazy when it was like watching the Shaw Classic when it's like in like winding down at like 11 a.m. or something, and they're like, oh, we'll be back at 1 p.m. and I was like, oh no, I have to like take a break and then come back and like re-engage.
Do you remember like one of the first live shows ever? I think was Beast on the East, or Beasts of the East, whatever it was, the World's Ultimate Strongman. Do you remember that? And it was like it was like 12 hours long. It was only one class. It was just like 10 athletes. And it was like 10 or 12 hours, and like all day for 5 events. And it was like, thank you for like doing this live, but oh my God, who has 10 hours to sit and watch 5 events? That's what PSL is doing. Really
That's a lot. Yeah.
Because that, I was going to ask you, I was like, that sounds like that would be miserable. If someone was like, hey, you're going to go against the top U64 women, but it is going to be a 12-hour show, you'd be like, that sounds miserable.
Why?
Well, I guess OSG can run like that though too.
That's true, but
they also have like 20 classes of athletes,
right? Like it's not one class, so like they're super long days and stuff. But at least there's some. You get to watch other people the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, the people running it are going nonstop all day because they're running a show
absolutely.
for a different class, like constantly. But yeah, when you have like one class, PSL is doing, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, just remind me, like one of the first lives that we ever got in Strongman was just like, well, this was great that you did it live, but maybe you should have changed the format a little bit to accommodate this.
That's true. I do. The one thing that is nice, I think they're doing it this year, is with the Shaw Classic, they're going to cut it down to a condensed version later for the video on demand. So you can, instead of watching like 2 days worth of 10-hour live stream, you can just watch like because like you said, it's funny when you really put it down to that, where everyone's only doing 5 minutes worth of work. So if you cut that all down, even if you have like a handful of athletes, like you can get it down to like a 3-hour show.
Well, that's what World's Strongest Man and SCL and others have been doing forever, and that's why, right? It's really hard to watch Strongman. It's really hard to watch live in its traditional format, and to make it really exciting, right? It puts a little extra strain on the athletes, but the benefit is that you get more crowd engagement, right? It's more exciting to watch from that live perspective, and
Yeah,
I
it's
think
it's going to be
it's a good
hard to find
trade-off.
kind of the happy middle for that.
I think it's a good trade-off.
Yeah.
Personally, because again, strongman, I think strongman is evolving a bit. It's always kind of evolving, right? But I think it really demonstrates a higher level of athleticism when the athletes are able to move quicker like that from event to event, right? I realize it's heavy, but there's strongman. Yurzy Cuddlecheek recently posted, and I love this, is he did 5 events in 2 minutes. Right?
Oh yeah, that medley where it was the yoke
it was just an insane 5 implement medley, and that's what's really awesome to see, that strongmen are not only really strong but also athletic and conditioned enough to do much more. Because I think for the most part, human beings certainly are capable of much more than just doing reps for 60 seconds and then sitting for an hour, right? And then or more. So no, I love that because it really exemplifies the athleticism and the ability of the athletes to really perform at a high level, be expected to perform at a high level in a much shorter period of time. That's both entertaining and performance based. So,
yeah,
my opinion.
That really is the new era of both you and Holly are super lean athletic people, and that's how things are trending, because you can't just be big and stuff, especially for weight classes. Of course, you can't just carry around extra weight and stuff. So it's always it's interesting to see that new evolution of things and stuff. One thing,
I think it's definitely moving into more medleys and athletic.
Yeah.
And it's not even just one medley. It's 5 different things.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
It's oh, let's do, yoke to log. Who would have even thought of that?
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy medley, honestly. That's a little different direction than I would have went, but dude, it's a hard challenge. To run. Mitch posted in his training, I think before the Rogue Invitational. Even that was super heavy, right? But I think he was running way heavier yoke than what was in the competition, and then just repping out a 360 log or a 380 log or something like that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, because that was the Invitational. That was having to rep out
that was
360 log. But yeah, Mitchell Hooper, he's impressive. He is as far as Canadians go, he's a big deal, and he seems like a real nice guy.
Do you know that he used to be a runner?
I've never met him.
You haven't met him?
No.
Neither. I have neither.
We both live in Ontario, but I'm 18 hours away. I'm in Northern Ontario.
Oh wow.
You forget how big Canada is until you describe. You're wait, 18 hours?
Everybody in Europe.
Yeah, so Ontario, if you drive from one end to the other, is 28 hours or something.
Good Lord. That's bigger than Texas.
Yeah, because I was going to say, it was Texas driving from one end to another. You can at least do it within a day's drive. It's going to be a long time, but that's still
I don't know, man. I've driven from Dallas to Midland a few times, and it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we drive somewhere in the States, we're oh, no big deal. We could have just stayed here in the same province. Yeah. We're driving almost anywhere in the state.
And it's funny because then you get people that come from Europe and they're oh my God, your country is so huge. Your states are so long. And then go to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can fit 3 of any Midwestern state in any of the border provinces. So, and then the territories are even more.
Yeah, Canada has more land mass than the United States, but you guys have more population.
Yeah, we're more spread out. But that's because the North is just really brutal.
That's true.
Right? That's why a lot of people don't live up there, I would imagine.
It's a little cold.
It's a little cold. Yeah. And still very wild, full of bears and wolves and
oh no, that stuff's fine. Critters. It's the cold that sucks.
I don't know. Have you ever watched Alone? They make it look like that's pretty it's not the cold that's the worst fear always. It is part of it, but
I guess we get used to that part of it. I don't know.
Yeah. True. The Alone is a great show about Canada, though. I think it's just
I'm gonna have to watch this. I've never watched it.
You've never watched Alone?
Yeah, they take. I mean, now it's both genders, but the first season they take a group of like a dozen men up there, and they put them each several miles apart in like some like remote area, and you're allowed to bring like 8 items with you, I
Yep.
think. So you have to like be very specific because some people didn't like bring anything to start fires with, assuming
Mhm.
that in wet, cold Canada, you would somehow be able to just like strike up a fire without a fire starter. That's always like a crazy move to me when people they're like, "Oh, I just take a stick and you just put it like." But yeah,
I go,
so
Dude, I mean,
they
it's
go
cool. So like they
survive
have to
the
live like solely on the land, right? They're allowed to bring like those 8 tools, whatever it is, nothing else. They don't bring any food. They're dropped off. They're expected to live solely on the land, and basically it's competition. Whoever lasts the longest, right? They have like a satellite radio or something they can tap out. But they have to record all of their own activities. Then it's obviously edited and whatever after the fact. But it's pretty amazing to watch what it's like to potentially survive in the wild with like literally nothing in the event of like impending winter, having to find enough food stores, eating the right food, finding sufficient food. It's pretty wild. It's crazy.
like
Usually they drop them off somewhere in the Northwest Territory.
yeah,
oh yeah,
it's-
that makes
they last for a
makes
long
sense.
time. Like the guy who won season 1, he was out by himself for over 50 days. Like, and it's weird because the isolation is what knocks a lot of people out.
Yeah.
They start getting kind of like weird and like start like either doing too much or like just kind of getting real sad and depressed. And it was crazy to watch him. Like I think he went up there being like he was 250 pounds or something, and when they picked him up he was like 175 or something over 50 days because he was just like he would just eat like seaweed and stuff and just
because
like
they probably couldn't find anything else.
Yeah,
dude, there's a lot of people now, like you said. I mean, it's become this because they paid out like $1 million.
they paid $500,000 at the very first show.
I mean, there was one special they did $1 million, and this guy's just like fattened himself up before he went out because he's like, if I can't find any food, maybe I can just outlast everybody because I'm really fat.
Oh man, you should watch it though. If you like,
I feel like I'm gonna have to find time
shows.
now to find this show.
And it is kid friendly, so
it's
that's
on,
nice.
It's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah.
Oh
Netflix,
no, but my kids don't want to watch stuff
It's
with
true.
me.
They don't. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, you're a cool person. But kids.
My
don't
son
think
sometimes does. He's still a mama's boy sometimes, not my daughter. She's like, I'm 14. I'm too cool for everybody.
She probably definitely enjoys that impression of her because
I know. Oh, you should see the impression she has of me.
That's the best part of family. It's just like doing impressions of each other. You're just like, oh man. But yeah, you should definitely check it out. That was a side tangent, but it is as far as like shows based up in Canada. You're like, it makes it look really like wildernessy.
Well, it is really wildernessy here.
It's true because what's the population of Canada? It's like 1/10 of the U.S. or something. That's like
I know it's a lot smaller than the U.S.
It's like 300,000 or something. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that.
I, for some reason, not long ago, looked it up to see and just to find out if Canada was bigger than the United States, and we are, but just in landmass.
Yeah, just in
okay.
Landmass,
So it's 38 million. So it's like about 1/10 of the size.
It's about the size of New York.
Yeah.
It's true. I would actually kind of, if
New York City is specifically.
I don't think it would actually be possible to have a like large landmass with not very many people, but that seems like kind of a good trade-off. But the cold in Canada, I don't know. It would be kind of not worth it, even though you have a lot of space.
But I mean, way up north, I think it's really cold. But so I'm from originally from Montana, North Dakota area, and it gets way colder in North Dakota in certain areas than it does, I know, even in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. At least as far north as Edmonton, for sure, it gets just way more brutally cold. But I think the further north you get, then it just gets just stupid.
Yeah, we, I don't know if you guys know Celsius to Fahrenheit very well, but it's not uncommon for our Januaries and our Februaries to be at like -30, -40, sometimes -50.
It's about the same in North Dakota because I think minus 40 is the same in Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I think once
Yeah.
you get past minus 32, if I'm not mistaken, it's all the same. Not
Yeah,
quite sure on that.
It's pretty close to the same. Yeah.
Cold.
So that's
Cold.
super cold. Yeah. North Dakota gets that way too. It'll be like January and February. It'll be like negative 30 to 40.
Yeah.
The wind chill will be like negative 70. Yeah.
And then still go to school and work.
Oh yeah, nothing stops. So in Colorado here, we'll get like a dusting of snow, and traffic is just at a standstill, right? In back home in North Dakota, I mean it'll be like full on like whiteout blizzard, and we're still like driving to work, right?
Mhm.
From the country too, no less.
Absolutely.
You don't know where the road is. You're just kind of praying that you stay on it. You're watching
even in the summer, they don't know how to paint.
And the reflectors, right, to stay in the middle of the road.
So
And just hope for the best.
Yeah, here in
everybody
Texas,
needs their Timmies here, so nothing stops.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Here in Texas, like they'll cancel it based on the prediction of the weather tomorrow. So like it sucks for retail workers because the weather will be perfect, but school's canceled. So like all the parents and kids are just looking for stuff to do, and because they've done it before where they're like, tomorrow it's supposed to get down to like 15 degrees, so we're canceling school, and then it turns out it's going to be like 40 something, and there's school still canceled because it's Texas. Like we'll cancel school because of like possible rain sometimes, and I'm like, we sound like babies compared to anyone who deals with real serious weather.
You are.
That's
You
true.
guys are. I remember. So I got a sorry. We're getting like way off the rails here, but I got a story about Texas. My first experience in Texas, I'm down there. I was working like cable route construction or something, and I'm in Houston, and it's like 40 degrees or something outside. I mean, it was in the 40s, and I show up in an uninsulated flannel shirt and jeans, right? No big deal, and I'm just working. And these two Texans get out of their pickup in pack boots and head to toe Carhartts, like insulated Carhartts, right? Like 40-some degrees out. And they're like, boy, you're crazy. It's freezing out here. And I'm like, dude, it's 40 degrees. I'm from North Dakota. And then they like have the audacity to tell me that their cold was colder because of the humidity. I'm like, what?
Oh man.
So that's Texans. That's like forever my stereotype of Texans when it comes to a cold.
That's true. It does.
Pack boots and Carhartts.
It
40
does.
degrees.
Because our first year here, we laughed at everyone who like wore jackets during the winter and stuff. Because the coldest it got was like 50-some degrees, and like in Virginia, our last year there, I don't know why. I think we thought the gas bill was too expensive, so we just like canceled the gas bill, which means that our heat didn't work. So our house is perpetually 42 degrees,
Nice.
and we just wear like sweatshirts and sweatpants, and we'd fall asleep sometimes, both of us wearing sweatpants, sweatshirts, and just like bathrobes, and we'd just wake up and the house is like almost in the 30s. And then we moved here, and like 2 years later, it's like once it gets cold outside, I'm like, I guess we should break our jackets out. It's below 60 now. Like we should.
Do you understand Fahrenheit, Holly?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So you understand how goofy it is to be like, once it's below 60, we should break out jackets.
Once it gets to like plus, I guess, 30 Celsius here, I just switch over to Fahrenheit because it just sounds so much harder to say 80 and 90.
Yeah.
Like who wants summer and they're like, it's 35 degrees. Right. It sounds so dumb.
It doesn't sound warm, that's for sure.
Right? So then I'm like, no, it's going to be like 92 degrees out. Like,
it's like, because you'll hear that.
But once it gets lower than that, then I don't do Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I can see that. Like you'll have Europeans complain about their heat waves and stuff, and then you do the conversion and it's like 79 degrees or like 85 sometimes. I'm like, I guess without air conditioning, at least Canadians have air conditioning.
Don't like air conditioning for some reason.
I've never understood that. I was like, I don't know if it's like air conditioning's great and everything.
I love my central air.
Yeah, yes. So you guys have central air, because I know for some reason some people up in like Washington and Oregon don't do air conditioning.
That's because they're poor.
But it was actually not common here in Colorado until probably like the last decade or so to use central air either. They had these things called swamp coolers, and it was basically like they would just pump like humidity of mist into their houses for cooling instead of air conditioning. And it was just use water, which is like mist, swamp coolers. Yeah. I've never seen one, but I've heard a lot about them. When I was looking for my first house here, a lot of the houses I came across didn't have AC. They had swamp coolers. And I'm just like, this is weird and sounds like
I grew up without AC. I didn't have central air until I moved into my home now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But once you have it, you're like, this is nice. Like,
yeah, I'm not going back.
Yeah, you're like, I can just pick the temperature of the house. Like, I'm not just like destined to do whatever nature thinks the house should be at this point. Like, oh man, that's always a nice thing and stuff. Because I was like, that's one thing that we do have that is nice. But Europeans, for some reason, that and like refrigeration, some things, I'm like, that's always handy.
What do you mean refrigeration? I mean, they have refrigeration.
Oh, they do, but they don't like refrigerate their eggs and some beers and stuff, like on planes and stuff. But I think we refrigerate our eggs because we like to take off the protective coating. Because
and they're all pasteurized and stuff. And yeah, it's kind of weird. So yeah.
Does Canada pasteurize the eggs, or are your eggs just like out on shelves?
Ours are all in refrigerations.
Okay, so at least it's a North American thing where we pasteurize our eggs, so then we need to refrigerate them. Rather than just like naturally, because that was the weirdest thing about being overseas. It's like going and just seeing like eggs just sitting out on dry shelves.
Dude, they have like egg vending machines just like along the road in some places. you just go like, it's like not refrigerated. You just go and buy a carton of eggs along the road.
That's like, it's for some reason, like it's the same as for some reason gas stations around here. We have like pickled eggs that you can just like scoop out of a big bucket and just like take as a snack. I don't know who's taking pickled hard-boiled eggs.
Pickled hard-boiled eggs are amazing, man.
They are amazing, but I don't know if I'd take one out of a bucket at a gas
you're not
station.
sticking your hand in there.
That's true.
You have like a tongs or something,
that's
right?
That's true. It is.
Yeah,
tongs,
but not everybody's going to use the tong. Let's get real.
Well, I mean, it's vinegar, so I mean, it's killing most everything that's coming in contact. Okay. I mean, you hope anyway.
That's true, I guess. I'm always like those, and then the open tubs of just beef jerky that like have the tongs there, but no one's using the tongs.
Nobody uses
people
the
are just pulling beef jerky.
I would totally do that, actually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even care.
Beef jerky. Yeah. Dry and salty, man. That's gonna kill anything.
That's true. So I guess maybe that's not as.
I don't think anybody ever caught any major disease from a jerky jar.
Yeah, and we have learned that they have caught things from stones, which is a whole new fear I never thought about.
Dude,
is thinking about dirty stones just putting stuff inside you when they cut you. I'm like,
I'm really glad I wear what's a chesty. It's padded for my sternum because it kills me. Yeah. So it's built right into my bra and everything. So I'm like, I don't touch the stone at all. Except my hands.
Good. I mean, you don't want to, man. Like, I don't know where that started, but when you really think about it, it's like, how many like people have touched this and like torn skin off and blood on it and no thanks.
Yeah, see, now I'm thinking of all the things that thanks.
I know. We've cleared it up and it proved that.
The only good thing about that is most of the stones that I now use are made brand new for that show, and I'm usually the first weight class up.
There you go. Ooh. There you go.
That is a good way to have it.
But although that also means I might be blamed.
Except you can say you don't touch the stone.
Who left?
Yeah, I don't think I've never bled or anything on them. I just pee all over the floor.
That's a risk I didn't think about. As long as you're not slipping and it's not a concrete floor, it's like not the end of the world.
A polished concrete floor.
Oh yeah, they are, because some of those convention centers they'll like to just wax them. I think when I did a comp in 2020 where we went to the venue to weigh in and we saw them out there waxing the floors, and the floors were just like so slippery to do farmers carries on that we're just like. You couldn't go fast at all because I got so nervous, like your feet just sliding. I'm like, I don't want to tear something.
I've never understood that. I've never understood why strongman has never established some sort of even like partial standardization for flooring to compete on. where did the convention center? I mean, I get the convention centers are large and maybe accessible for a large number of people, but they are like the absolute worst flooring to compete on. I mean, especially if you're doing medleys where you have to run back and forth and you're like sliding all over the place. Or what was the American Strongest Man in like 21 or 2 where they had the Fingles fingers and everybody's feet? I'm like surprised somebody didn't slip and like get smashed, have their head smashed in by a Fingles finger, right? Because they're on a slippery floor. And like, what? How have we become a sport that just like we're like the only sport that doesn't have a standardized like field or floor for our sport. I mean, everybody, like tennis has their own courts, right? Volleyball has their own sand courts, you know. I mean, football, soccer, basketball, baseball. I mean, you can go endlessly, right? Of course, those are bigger sports than strongman, but strongman's just like, hey, we're gonna go run on the worst surface imaginable.
That's true.
That's why it's strongman.
That's why it's strongman.
True.
If it's not
that's
a dumpster
why only
fire,
the crazy ones do this.
Yeah, right.
That's true. It's always funny when they like ask other people from other sports if they're going to like stick around in it, like John Hack and other people, and they're like, it's fun to dabble in, but we're not crazy. We'll stick in like CrossFit powerlifting thing. It's like there's a good chunk of money there, but it is nice. There's been more money coming into strongman shows recently and stuff, so that's always good. I don't know. I was going to ask if shows up in Canada, how payouts are there, or things going up at all, as far as like
there isn't really a lot of pro shows up here as we're growing. We have Strongest Woman in Canada, or the Strongest. I'm not quite sure the exact name of it, and that one has a payout, but there isn't really anything for the pro women here yet.
Oh, okay. Because I know
Max and Sam took over from what was going on, and they've got Strongman Corp Canada, and they're growing it as everything is in Canada, and we're definitely getting a lot bigger and a lot better, but it's a process.
You said Strongman Corp Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I was like, I guess because I was going to say, I know a lot of people don't have the same kind of federation system we have down here, but I assume you guys aren't going to get.
No, and I think that the open men are actually under a different federation here that JF does.
Huh.
So it gets a little confusing.
I feel like there's a couple of different federations in Canada. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've competed in Canada a couple times, like Manitoba, and I know they do like the big westerns or whatever in Saskatchewan every year, but I can't think of what that organization is off the top of my head.
Well, and then we had CASA for a while. That's where I got my pro card, but then Strongman Corp Canada kind of came in, and CASA's gone, and yeah.
Yeah, pro cards.
So there isn't much, really, and there's nothing for the weight class pros. So if I do want to compete, I just have to compete with the open, so everybody competes together.
Yeah.
Because you did that for Canada's Strongest Woman in 2021. Was it?
I think it was 2021, and I was going to do the qualifier and do it this year. It just didn't line up. It was the weekend right before the Pro Strongman League. So
okay.
I couldn't travel there and then travel again. It just wasn't possible for me. So unfortunately, I had to pick which show I was going to do this year.
That makes sense.
And Strongest Woman in Canada, I think, is in October-ish or November. So it's really close to Worlds. And so I thought that just not for me this time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Worlds is a big deal. So
yeah. How are you feeling leading up to that? I mean, you'll see how the Static Monsters goes and everything.
Right now I'm training, but I'm more focused on keeping my body healthy and happy instead of strength wise. I really focus when I'm not competing or peaking and prepping to really dive down into the smaller mechanics of what my body's doing to keep my spine kind of working. So I work a a lot into the transverse muscles. And that's really hard to do when I start prep. So right now I'm winding that down as my coach will start my prep for OSG. But I'm also really enjoying my summer and drinking, because I don't drink very much on prep. So I'm like, I'd rather be at the beach right now, because Canada only gets like 2 months of nice weather.
Do you have a beach in Ontario? I mean, that must be on one of the Great Lakes, right?
No, we do. I live on Lake Superior, but I don't swim in Lake Superior because that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the cold. Remember, I don't want to purposely go in it.
Right.
It's true.
But yeah, we've got lots and lots of different lakes around here and stuff that aren't Lake Superior.
Yeah.
That makes
I was just swimming in a waterfall all weekend. So
that sounds fun.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so I would much rather do that sometimes than just train.
I'm with you on the drinking. Like I competed like very seriously for a long time, and I kept staying from alcohol for many, many years. And then within like the last year or so, I was like, you know what? I want to enjoy like having that drink once in a while. I want to enjoy life. And you got to do that. Mm-hmm. It's so important.
You do. And during the summertime, like I said, it's only a few months that we get like barbecue weather and stuff, and you have friends over having a fire. I want to sit there and enjoy a bourbon or a glass of wine and not feel bad about it or think, well, maybe my training output tomorrow won't be the same as what it should be and stuff. And so I allow myself 2 months in the summer and then 2 months at Christmas time. So right after Worlds, because Christmas is also my birthday. So if you don't give yourself that. I was born on Christmas Eve.
Oh, me too.
That's why my
crazy
name's Holly.
Yeah. Oh, well, my name has nothing to do with the day that I was born.
No, it doesn't.
But I was also born on Christmas Eve, so that's awesome.
Oh, now we have something in common.
Yeah.
I have to do a Christmas special.
Yep.
Now you just need to like make your middle name something like Noel.
It's true.
I mean, it's Kyle.
Oh man, I did not realize your middle name was Kyle.
Not Christmas name ever.
I know, right? I blame it on my mom. I mean, it's her fault. Not mine.
I blame my Christmas name on my mom.
That is super Christmassy. I was always wondering.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I always sing "Deck the Halls with Boughs of Me."
That's amazing.
Oh man, that's so good.
So do you like?
I find if I don't allow myself these couple months, like throughout it, it's just you kind of get lost in it. And I enjoy the time with my friends and my family. And none of my friends and family lift, so they're all really supportive of it and things like that. But they don't live in the same kind of mindset as I am when I then enter prep. So it allows me to kind of get back to them.
Of course, yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, you've got to do that. And I didn't do it for many, many years. I lived and breathed strongman for way too long. And the realization is that, I mean, this should not be, you're not making a living at it. Very, very few people are, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a good career choice. So you may as well take some time and not sacrifice the time with loved ones and friends and enjoy your life.
That's right. I mean, I always say strongman is a big part of my life, but it's a very small part of my life. I've owned my cleaning company for 14 years. I've got my kids. Oh, wow. I've got a home. I'm in school. I'm a personal trainer. So I've got a whole life outside of this. So if for some reason I get hurt and I can't ever do this again, my identity isn't gone.
Right.
And I think that's really, really important to make sure that you can kind of keep your life. You're not just one specific person.
100%.
Yeah, because I think that's like a good thing. Is like, well, I do have my torn meniscus and everything. Like competing or like lifting isn't my whole identity and stuff. Zerchers is a large part of the identity, so that's real sad. That of all things, people have asked me, they're like, "How'd you tear your right meniscus?" I'm like, "Doing a Zercher." They're like, "Cool." I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I tore it doing 160 kilograms and was mad at myself. So I put up 170 and got it 75% of the way before I realized my knee was far too damaged to lock out." And people are there like,
boy.
oh, so you like heard it and then you
And then you heard it more.
I was like, it's only
because you're a
10.
meathead.
Yeah, I was like, it's only 10 kilos. What could that be? And the people were watching. The gym owner, she was watching me, and she was like, that's a big jump. I was like, it's just 10. And then 10
Well, that's the problem
kilos
with
is
kilos,
not
though.
the
It's
same
like
pounds.
it's
Yeah.
like Celsius in the summer, right? It sounds like not very much, but when it's really hot, right? You say like, well, 10 kilos doesn't sound very much, but it's really 22 pounds. Like that was like 15% jump.
It was. So it is one of those things that a part of it, like I didn't tell when I went to the doctor's office. I just said it was a normal deadlift because I didn't want to explain to them like how ridiculous what I had done was, because I didn't want to be like, because one person did see the video and they were like, wait, you hurt your knee doing that, not your back? I was like, yeah, my back's fine. My back didn't feel anything. It's just like, but the nice thing is it's not like a huge part of my identity and stuff. Whereas you see some people, as soon as like they can't lift or something happens, like everything's gone and stuff. And it's like, it's always really impressive to me when athletes like yourself have a life that's like, sounds incredibly hectic outside of being a professional athlete and stuff. Like when you describe all that, you're like, wait, you're also going to school and you have a cleaning business? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, is it crazy that I'm at 27,000 steps today and that's a normal day for me?
Whew.
And I didn't train today.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I'm like,
I lied, it's
that's
27,600.
just move your hand around a lot more. It'll like you get to 30,000.
That's true. I do have to just show you a video that I just thought was too fascinating not to share. It's possibly the most Canadian thing I've ever seen.
The
And
most
here
Canadian,
it is.
Go ahead.
It's look at this.
She can wear high heels or flannel. She can
I
look
know.
sexy in a toque. She likes snowstorms and Gordon Lightfoot. And if
I
you're
was like,
lucky,
this is the most
she'll
Canadian
love
video I've ever seen.
Canadian girl.
I was like,
Oh,
that's
you missed
too
the
good.
greatest part. I was warming
Oh.
up my nose.
Oh, let's actually see that.
Here's just a full trouble, though sometimes, girls, we can travel the world.
And then I couldn't get my belt on. It got stuck.
Always gonna come back, Canadian girl.
Yep.
I was like, that's one thing we did have to feature because you're legendary for your dancing and just like general antics around deadlifts.
I don't
Okay.
have heat in my garage.
Mm.
So I have to heat it with a couple propane heaters. And when it gets to like minus 30 and 40, there's no helping that.
That's true.
None.
I'm
Because
like-
it's all cement.
Right.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It super sucks.
Yeah. So
I-
you have to have fun. That explains why you have like some of the best like warm-ups and dances. I was like, while people are just listening will miss it, it's an excellent video of Holly just deadlifting to a song about Canadian.
I
girl,
think
wearing
I
full
actually
flannel.
posted it to TikTok with like explanations of what I was doing is, oh, touch your nose, warm up some more. Oh, your belt's stuck.
Oh man, TikTok's one of those things that I briefly tried and then just gave up on because it's just there's too much there.
There's
It's
two.
like that infinite scroll and everything.
I
I did the most dumbest thing on TikTok. I ended up going viral on one of my videos
Mm.
because I put this funny sound. You know, well, you guys don't know because you're not short like me, but when I try to get my laundry out of the washing machine, I tend to sometimes fall in. So I put this sound to me falling in and my feet dangling out. And when I posted it, I was not aware that it was a famous porn.
Oh man.
So my video went viral very quickly and everybody kept saying stepbrothers and stepsisters. And somebody actually had to tell me what I had done. So I had to go and actually Google what this was.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks, TikTok.
Yeah.
As soon as you said you fell in with your legs out, I was like, "Oh no, that's
you need
just
to
like-
you get a front load, and it's problem solved.
Well, no, see, the problem is the porn actually starts by the girl getting stuck in the front of the dryer.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about this either.
So I'm like, well, if I had a front loader, I mean, it'd be the same damn thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just saying you get a front loader. You don't need to post the porn sound. Just not fall
It
in.
wasn't. It was like
Like-
this funny uh-oh sound or something. I don't even. Oh, listen, the video's still up on TikTok. You can check it out and tell me. I debated. I was like, do I leave it up or do I just take it down? I'm like, oh, you know what? Whatever. I'll give somebody a laugh.
That's
funny.
true. You got to stick with it and everything. Because at that point, you're like,
I
it's already
also
up there
now know which one of my friends watch porn.
That's true. That's always like the interesting thing is where people like know those references.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'd appreciate this, but Frank always knows references like that, and I'm always like, he'll like know them by their first names, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, I know the general concept, but
I don't social media enough to know anything. So
you're missing out.
yeah, so I had TikTok for a little bit and I got really annoyed with it, so I just stopped checking it. I checked it the other day. I had like a friend who had like sent me like, he's like that guy that just sends like nonstop memes and like shares videos. There was like 170 videos that this guy like sent to me that I didn't watch, and it was only like a few weeks. And I was like, I don't need that in my life.
That's true.
Instagram's
super
enough.
distracting.
I'm already in like 50 chat groups and get endless memes on Instagram.
That's true. And now they're trying to add broadcast channels as a
Oh,
thing,
God.
which I'm just not a fan of. No offense, Holly, if you've started a broadcast channel.
I didn't even. What is it?
Oh, so
It's stupid. Is what
so
it is.
it's essentially like a group chat where you just get messages directly from.
You
the
can't. It's not a
creator
chat.
and
You
stuff.
can't.
Like,
It's only
you can't
one-
respond. Yeah,
You can't respond.
but it's
it's
listed
just
with
like-
all your chats.
It's just like, hey, here's all my chats and like my stuff. Just like let me annoy you all day with a million notifications.
Like World
Oh,
Strongest
no.
Man has one. Yeah. So and that's why people constantly on Instagram will try to invite you to broadcast channels. They're like, "Do you want to be part of this channel?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You mean a
I
one-way chat where you're just sending things?"
I joined the
directly in
first
my
one
chat?
and then actually I think I joined two, and like right away, and then I also within a day unfollowed both of them
It's true.
because I'm like, this is it. Literally, it's the same stuff they're posting on their feed.
It's true, but directly. So now you're.
Why did I need to have more notifications, man? Like, I hate social media.
It's true. I realize you probably have to go because
Yeah, it's
sounds
we usually like to
family
keep these at
is out
an
there.
hour too, and we're at
It's
an
okay.
hour
They're
and 17 minutes, so-
entertaining each other by talking to my brand new security cameras, and they keep going past them and twerking them just to send me notifications while I'm at work.
Oh, there you go. You can't get away from notifications in today's connected world.
That's true. I have the Ring
It's not one
security
thing; it's
camera,
another.
and now people use the Ring network like it's a social media thing.
Oh my
Like
God.
Yeah.
every day. So we have two different neighbors in our neighborhood who every day will notify you when there's a dangerous heat advisory. Anytime it's above 100 degrees, they'll both send out notifications on the Ring security network to be like, watch out, it's super hot there. It's above 100 degrees for literally weeks on end here. We don't need notifications telling us that it's 110 degrees outside. Like just recently, like they sent 5 different ones in a day because the heat index was like 118 degrees. And I was like, we all know how hot it is out there. We're not like, they're like, watch out for your kids. Like, don't leave your baby in the car. Don't leave your
Well, I
pets in
mean,
the car. Like,
let's
which
be
I
honest.
guess you
There's
get, but
people that actually need that for some reason.
maybe.
Well, I mean, every year there's like multiple people leaving their children in hot cars, man, their babies. I saw that just there's something just in Texas here recently. Somebody had to like bystanders like broke the glass out of this person's vehicle because they left their baby in a hot car. I don't know who the person was or whatever, but yeah, man, they have like there's dumb people out there that shouldn't have children that clearly
Yep.
need to be reminded not to leave their baby in a hot car.
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate aspect of stuff like that is like you're smart enough. Many of us are smart enough, but half of the population are idiots, and they need to be told the blatant obvious.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm like,
They needed
who
a
on
license
earth-
to breed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, who on earth is leaving their kids or their pets in a car that when it's 115 degrees outside? Like, that's an insane thing to do.
People that
I
should
don't
not
do it
have
at any
either.
temperature.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't have. Like, I recently just got a new car that's super smart, and now if you even leave like a little bag of groceries or a pair of shoes in your back seat, it'll like warn you as you're trying to get out of the car. It's like, check your back seat, check your back seat.
Oh wow.
I'm
All
like,
right,
it's just their
show off.
boots.
Yeah,
I know.
show off.
I did. I needed something to help because of my knee and everything. I was like, I did.
So like I hurt myself. I'm gonna go buy
It's
a
true.
brand new car.
Yeah, I got a smart car, tattooed my hands.
Dude, I was
It's
gonna
been a
ask you
fun
about
week.
that if you got like new tattoos on your hands.
Yeah, I did. I got them Saturday night. I was
That's
feeling real
amazing.
down about my knee being hurt, and I was like, I need to go change some things up. And it did. Actually, I will recommend it to you all. If you all have pain in like a knee or an injury, the
Just go get
pain
some
was a
tattoos.
lot less after having painful hand tattoos. But now that the hand tattoos don't hurt anymore, I almost thought my knee was like fully healed on Sunday. I was like, oh my God, I don't even feel my knee. But anytime the cats would rub against them or I'd put on an oven mitt or even wash my hands, they hurt really bad. And I was like, my knee's fine now. And now my knee feels like it hurts because the meniscus is torn.
This is
So-
really bad medical advice.
It's true. I'm just saying that I might just have to get a tattoo every week until my knee's fully healed. I'm just like
Oh,
keeping it as a
shucks.
distraction.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
yeah.
a good excuse. at
It
least,
is weird
for
though
tattoos.
because I realize now seeing my hands like because I realized doing work calls, I realized no one ever sees my tattoos for work calls, and now they see tattoos all the time, and I'm like, I guess I don't want to flex again because I said I got a smart car, but I do work from home and I'm a software engineer, so it's like
Rub it in, John.
my knees hurt though.
Yeah.
I need sympathy from you all. No one's gonna be sympathetic because they're like, you heard it, and then you heard it more
Yeah,
because you
did it.
yourself.
Dude, that's that's exactly what I did with my proximal bicep when I heard it at that
Ooh.
competition in July. Is I heard it and I just kept throwing like an idiot, and then it just hurt it really bad.
It feels like a good idea in the moment though.
It does. Well, because I'm a meathead and I'm like, I didn't show up here to pull out. I did the same thing in like 2014 where I tore my calf at SC Nationals in Reno. I'm like, well, I can't really move anymore, but I'm not going to quit. And so I just like hobbled the last event.
Holly, I feel like as a mom, you probably don't support that behavior and probably wouldn't do that.
I've done dumber
Yeah.
things in my life. I have kids. I'm just
That's
gonna leave it at
awesome.
that.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Hey, we're 22 minutes over our target. I'm sure it's getting very late there for you, Holly. Appreciate you coming on the show. Any final words for your fans, our fans? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, McRae Strong Fitness. That's mostly where I do it, unless you want to find me on TikTok, which is the same, McRae Strong Fitness. But I'm always around.
All right.
Yeah. It was
Great
great
having
having
you.
you on. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was real fun.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow us on Instagram for updates. We'll catch you next time on World's Strongest Opinions.